How's it going? Once again, welcome back to another show. This is You Made Roscoe, and I am Roscoe. And today we're bringing you what something the world can't get enough of. It's the rivalry of all rivalries. In a lot of people's opinion, ergo this being named the greatest rivalry in sports history. This is Bird versus Magic. That's the name of this video. So we'll be checking this out. Before we do that, I do want to ask for anybody who hasn't that they please subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure you hit the notification bell, and we're gonna go ahead and get this started. But yeah, this is a rivalry that people can't seem to get enough of. I know I love talking about it. I love watching old clips involving their rivalry. And I think a lot of people are in that same boat. So we're gonna go ahead and get this started like right now, as soon as my I can adjust my glasses. But let's do this.
You can't talk about Magic Johnson's career without mentioning Larry Bird, and vice versa. They were two of the best and most successful players in the 80s, and their rivalry saved the NBA from going bankrupt and shutting down. We'll talk about how their relationship started, how they drove each other crazy, and how they formed the most iconic rivalry in sports history. Growing up, Larry Bird was born in 1956 in French Lick, Indiana, 2.5 years and 357 miles up north. Irvin Johnson said hello to the world from Lansing, Michigan. There were a lot of differences between the two, but there were also many similarities. Both hailed from big, working-class families and knew the values of hard work and sacrifice early on. Irvin was a flamboyant kid who wanted to get as much attention as possible. He was the most popular kid in high school and a prom king, while Larry mainly wanted to be left the hell alone. When he had to get up and speak before the class, Bird wouldn't do it, and would rather get an F than draw any attention to himself. However, these two polar opposites outside of basketball were the mirror images of each other once they had the ball in their hands. Both 6'9", not overly athletic, but extremely smart and super confident. They both saw the game 2 or 3 moves in advance. Both were team-oriented, and they had an equal desire when they played to win above all else. Magic won the state championship as a senior in high school, averaging 29 points and 17 rebounds, after which he decided to attend Michigan State. Bird averaged 31 points and 21 rebounds as a senior, and he got the scholarship from the Indiana Hoosiers, coached by
Damn, damn, those numbers is crazy. Well, the high school numbers are always going to be like gaudy as I don't know all you know what like everybody's high school numbers look stupid crazy when you look at them even now today, whether it's now today or back in the days. People have these crazy stats, and it's like goodness gracious. But it's funny because there was no mention, at least for, well, in both of these guys' cases, I guess, about the assist numbers. I would have liked to have known what Magic's assist numbers and Bird's was looking like in high school. But let's keep this thing going. I'll push it back just a tiny bit. Boom, there we go. All right, now let's get it.
Bird averaged 31 points and 21 rebounds as a senior, and he got the scholarship from the Indiana Hoosiers. Coached by Bobby Knight, the Hoosiers were one of the country's most successful and famous collegiate basketball programs. However, Bird lasted only 24 days at Indiana University. More than 30,000 people at campus, and less than $100 in his pockets were too overwhelming for a hick from French Lick. So Larry returned home to a town of 2,000 inhabitants and became a garbage man. He drove the garbage truck, painted park benches, cut grass, fixed what needed to be fixed. His mom didn't speak to him for months because he ran away from a college scholarship, and after a year of picking up garbage, Larry decided to return to the university. However, he opted to go to a much smaller Indiana State, which was much more suited for his social skills at the time. While the Hoosiers won their 3rd NCAA title in 1976, Indiana State had never even reached the NCAA tournament. However, that would soon change with Larry Bird on the team. Bird averaged 30 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 assists per game with the Sycamores, and led them to an 81-13 record during his tenure. In his senior year, Indiana State reached the NCAA tournament for the first time, and did so in a spectacular fashion, with Bird dominating the college ranks. Indiana
That was a hell of a block shot by Bird. I can't even imagine him playing for Bobby Knight. Bobby Knight was such a, even though I used to like Bobby, before he started throwing chairs on on the hardwood and stuff like that. I guess even then I was still like, okay, he's cool. I never, and now when I think about it, I never really had an issue with Bob Knight. Like, not never. Like, I realized like he was an a hole. I realized that much, but there was something about him that I still like. That like he's bad, but I like him. But I can't imagine Bird playing for him. It's like a super clash in personalities, but that's not nothing new for like the coach and player to be like that and still be able to find common ground. So it is what it is. Let's keep it going on.
Indiana State got off to a 33-0 record and reached the NCAA Finals against Michigan State and their sophomore point guard, Magic Johnson. First meeting, 1979 championship game, and the NBA draft. The first time Magic found out about Larry was from Sports Illustrated, which had a story about the best college player in the country, but he soon got to see for himself if that was true, because both Magic and Larry were selected to represent Team USA in the 1978 World Invitational Tournament. Larry and Magic were the best players on the court, trading behind-the-back passes and treating each other with no-look assists. They had instant chemistry on the court, but off it, not so much, as Larry wasn't the most talkative person on the planet, as you can probably imagine. However, before the NCAA Finals in 1979, Magic still wanted to greet Larry and shake his hand before the game, because after all, they were teammates on the USA team less than a year ago. But Larry wasn't interested. He shunned Magic, and their rivalry officially began. The 1979 NCAA Finals was the most-watched NCAA Finals in history at the time, and it's still the most-watched NCAA game ever to this day. A small school that had never reached the tournament was undefeated throughout the season, and an unathletic blonde guy made them the most talked-about team in the country. The other school was led by a 6'9" point guard, which was never seen before. One was black, one white. One was outgoing and smiled for the reporters. One was shy and gave short one-sentence answers. They were the polar opposites from the outside, but their games were so similar, and that's what wrote the narrative and brought national attention. When the actual game started, two guys guarded Bird the entire game, and he struggled to get an inch of free space. Larry knew he had to score 40 for his team to beat the favorite Michigan State. However, Bird had a bad shooting night. He missed 14 of his 21 shots, and Michigan State won by 11. Bird always says that it's the toughest loss of his career. After the NCAA Finals, both Magic and Bird turned pro. The Lakers selected Magic with the first overall pick in the 1979 draft. Bird was picked 6th by the Celtics in 1978.
Yeah, let me stop it. Even though I've reacted to some stuff, featuring these guys, I keep on forgetting that, in that college game that Bird was double teamed. And he takes that loss so hard, but I wouldn't be tripping knowing that, like Magic, he probably had the more talented team, and because Bird's team probably wasn't as talented or had these, I shouldn't say as talented because they were good enough to make it to the title game. But just on an individual scale, like they had these individual talents where you had to really worry about them like that. And these are guys that probably work better in the scheme as opposed to being individualized. So yeah, no, they were able to take Bird out the game because it's like, dude, it's almost like the Jordan rules. Get that one dude, and then we'll deal with the rest of this. So let's keep it going.
And that was the last year a player could still stay in college after getting drafted. NBA saviors. By the end of the 70s, the NBA was in big trouble. TV ratings were down, attendance was low, and there was very little buzz around the league and its players. Out of the top 10 most-watched basketball games in the 70s, 9 were college games, and tape delays were the norm for the NBA. Drugs were a big issue, the level of basketball wasn't that great, and fights between players happened on the regular. The overall image of the league was terrible, sponsorships were hard to come by, and the league nearly collapsed by the end of the 70s. However, when Bird and Magic came to the NBA in 1979, they brought the hype that surrounded them in college. They both made the All-Star team as rookies and transformed their teams into title contenders. The Celtics improved their win total by 32 games from the year before Bird and finished first in the Eastern Conference. Magic's Lakers were first in the West, and the teams were destined to clash in the finals. But the Sixers spoiled another Bird and Magic duel. On the morning of the deciding Game 6 of the finals, the news came that Larry Bird won Rookie of the Year with 63 votes compared to just 3 votes Lakers for the second-place Johnson. Magic was pissed, and he'd go on to pour 42 points and 15 rebounds in the deciding Game 6, bringing Los Angeles their first title after 8 years and securing the Finals MVP trophy. When he saw that Magic won another title, Bird was furious, and that's just who these guys were and how they behaved, envious of each other's accomplishments and maniacally driven to elevate their play. Whenever the season schedule came out, I would circle the 2 games with Boston. Those were the 2 games more important than the other 80, Magic Johnson said. I read the newspaper every day during the season. I was only interested in one thing. What numbers did Magic Johnson have last night? Said Larry Bird. In 1981, Bird won.
That's a lot of obsession. They were way too obsessed. But I mean, I guess that's the only way that could have worked, is being as focused in on each other like that. And I see Bird is smoking his red Arrowback stogie in his mouth. He must have snatched that right from Red. But let's keep this going.
Won his maiden title with the Celtics, and in 1982, Magic won another one with the Lakers. After that, the league was essentially Bird and Magic, and then everybody else. TV doubleheaders always featured the Lakers and the Celtics against whomever they happened to be playing. From 79 to 84, the NBA's TV ratings rose significantly. Attendance jumped 42% from 1979 to 89, easily the biggest gain among the 4 major American sports. While some credit has to go to David Stern and some to Michael Jordan, the main reason for the NBA's rise has to do with Bird and Magic. They were 2 phenomenal players who got drafted to the most iconic franchises and embodied the drama of American race relations, but did nothing to stir up the hatred themselves. Finals clashes. After the Sixers defeated the Celtics and the Lakers to win the title in 1983, Bird and Magic finally both advanced to the greatest NBA stage in 1984. The final series was tough and tightly contested, with the winner decided in Game 7. The Celtics played at home, and Bird was never more determined to win. Magic played badly down the stretch, and Larry finally got his revenge for the NCAA title loss in 1979, averaging.
I guess those was the tragic Magic days. Tragic Magic.
27 points and 14 rebounds. He was named the Finals MVP, while the media butchered Johnson for his mistakes in the deciding moments. As a result, Magic was on a mission for the 1985 season and played the basketball of his life. The Celtics and the Lakers met in the finals again, and after a first game that finished 148 to 114 for Boston, it seemed like the Lakers didn't have it in them. However, after a big bounce back from Kareem, Magic steered LA to victory in 6 games and their first title in 9 NBA Finals against the Celtics. In the summer of '85, after that final series, a monumental shift happened in Bird and Magic's relationship. They starred in a Converse commercial together, with Magic visiting French Lick and spending time in Larry's home with the entire Bird family. For the first time ever, they talked and exchanged more than 2 sentences. After that, they struck a friendship, but their rivalry was as bitter as ever. The Celtics won the title in 1986 against the Rockets, and Bird won his 3rd consecutive.
Greg Kite. Wow. Not that he was anybody major, at least as far as I know. I know when I seen it, I didn't realize he was playing with them. I remember him with like the Magic, and I mean the Orlando Magic team. You know, when they were first, finally, you know, in like what was it, '89 or something like that. But I remember him being on that team. But let's keep it going. I don't know why I even stopped this for Greg Kite. like he was a major player, you know. But let's keep it going.
For the first time ever, they talked and exchanged more than 2 sentences. After that, they struck a friendship, but their rivalry was as bitter as ever. The Celtics won the title in 1986 against the Rockets, and Bird won his 3rd consecutive MVP award. In 1987, the Lakers returned to the finals, again against Bird and the Celtics. In Game 4, Larry seemed to have scored a game winner, but Magic erased it with a spectacular hook shot with 2 seconds remaining, a redemption for the clutch misses in 1984. Bird still had a good look for the win, but he missed a jump shot at the buzzer, and the Lakers took a 3-1 series lead and eventually won the series in 6. After the finals, Bird called Magic the best player he'd ever seen. Later years. As Magic soared and won another title in 1988, Bird was breaking down. He injured his back while chopping wood in French Lick in 1985, and the injury worsened every season. He missed almost the entire 1989 season with a torn Achilles, and when he came back, he needed nearly 3 hours of preparation and spinal adjustments to play basketball. He was under enormous pain, and it was hard for him to walk, let alone play. But being a tough SOB that he was, he stuck around until 1992, even though he should have probably retired in 1988. Magic kept winning MVPs by the turn of the decade, and the Lakers kept making the NBA Finals. However, they couldn't defeat the Pistons in 1989 and the Bulls in 1991 to claim the title. Before the 1992 season had started, Magic received terrible news. He contracted HIV and subsequently retired from the NBA. Bird was in shock, and he immediately called Magic.
Stop it for a second here. Just push it back a little bit. But I gotta do. I'm gonna end up doing like something on the Pistons because I actually was watching. I watched the I don't know if it was a 30 for 30 documentary of them, but I know it was a documentary that I watched that featured the Pistons and you know that whole time during the Isaiah years, and how that team got birthed, but I like that documentary a lot. And then I always think of the Pistons because they had like a big time rivalry with the Celtics, and I know I've said this before, but their rivalry kind of preceded the whole Bulls Pistons thing, and they mirrored each other so much because it was that whole, we had to beat that big dog in order to get to the final destination, and the Bulls and the Pistons had to go through that, and it started with Bird and the Celtics and all that. But let's keep this going.
Title. Before the 1992 season had started, Magic received terrible news. He contracted HIV and subsequently retired from the NBA. Bird was in shock, and he immediately called Magic. Johnson confirmed that the news was true, and he later said that the call from Bird meant the world for him because he realized how much affection Larry really had for him, despite their rivalry. Larry said that he felt the same that day as on the day that his father passed away. And for the first time in his career, he didn't enjoy playing as much, with Magic not playing. But that wasn't the end. And Larry and Magic had their last hurrah. First, they played as opponents after Magic got an invite to play in the 1992 All-Star Game, which he dominated and won the MVP. And then later that year, they rode off into the sunset as teammates at the Barcelona Olympics. Because their NBA careers were over, their masks fell completely off. Bird and Magic became really good pals during their time with the Dream Team. Legacy. Magic and Bird played against each other 37 times in their NBA careers, and Johnson won 22 of those games, compared to Bird's 15. When it comes to trophies, it was 8 finals, 5 titles, and 3 MVPs for Magic, and 5 finals, 3 titles, and 3 MVPs for Bird. In the end, Magic won more hardware, but Bird was likely a more complete player because he was a better shooter, especially early on. Both players worked extremely hard to outplay the other, and were each other's biggest motivation. Their rivalry was the biggest storyline in the 80s, and it saved the NBA, and they desperately needed saviors. In 2010, Larry and Magic wrote a book together, and in 2019, they got the NBA Lifetime Achievement Award together. Even though they are still polar opposites, Larry and Magic always seem to be intertwined and go together like peanut butter and jelly.
That was really good stuff. All right. But yeah, no, this was a good video. I like this. I enjoyed this. Just like I have all the other ones. Like I said in the beginning, it's always fun to retread through this rivalry because of what it meant to basketball. In general, like uh, if we're at that point where we're just how in love a lot of people are with basketball now, that probably wouldn't exist without Magic and Bird. So um, that's all I got. I don't feel like it's necessary to throw a thumb up or anything like that. It's a great video, that. So I'm gonna get going. Before I do, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit the share button. hit the playlist option. You'll pick the one named what is it? Basketball reactions. That's what you'll do, right? It's either the name basketball highlights or basketball reactions. One of the two. But that playlist does exist on my page, so make sure you go into that playlist. You'll see everything that's basketball related in that particular playlist. So there's that. I do have playlists for other things. A lot of that stuff is going to be music based, but it's a lot of great stuff still. A lot of great artists, different genres of music, all that stuff. Cash App, $ you made Roscoe, PayPal at you made Roscoe for those who like to show their support or appreciation for the work being done. There's that. And any donations, you'll make it at one of those two spots at the bottom. So uh, that's it. That's all. That's it. So I got to go. I will see you guys again soon. And until next we meet, you guys be safe and be good.